amount with the maximum allowable tax levy according to the tax cap calculation. And then I picked 2% because property tax cap 2%, which is not 2%, but that's just a 2% increase from last year. And then I picked 0%. Then I backed into what our state aid number was. And that's from the first discussion of the budget. The governor's proposal is a proposal. The numbers aren't cut in stone because some of the numbers are expense driven. So as my numbers on the bottom show you what amount I'm deducting, saying I'm not sure we're going to get, so I back the numbers down and reduce what I'm saying we're actually going to get, just to be a little bit conservative. In the first scenario, I'm saying I'm going to reduce the state aid by $166,000 to balance the budget. That gives a higher tax cap, tax levy. The second scenario, I reduce it by 147 and only do 2% tax levy. And then the third scenario, I reduce it by 85,000 to give it to 0% tax levy. When I was going back through the tax cap calculation, I realized the first scenario where it says tax levy $1,799,853, that is the tax cap maximum, but that would require a supermajority, which means you have to have 60% pass it. Because you start with last year's tax levy, you multiply it by the tax base growth factor, you add in your pilots from the prior year, you add in all this other stuff. I know it's very complicated. There are some exclusions, and that's how I ended up with that number. If you get the tax levy limit, which is before the exclusions, then it's only 50% plus one person. That dollar amount is $1,798,101, which the difference is $1,752. So that kind of gives you an idea of where you kind of want to fall. Because I think you probably would have a hard time getting a supermajority. And that, the $1,798,101 is 2.96 compared to 3.06 for the cap. So again, since we're not taking every dime, every penny, that the governor's saying he's going to give you, which I really, you don't get every penny. And as you can tell, the 0% is 85,000 deduct. The 3.06 is 166,000. You do have some flexibility, and it really is what you're comfortable with. And what I've reduced, that's on transportation aid. The foundation aid you should get. Like I said, last year they all of a sudden came up with this FMAP, FMAP deduct. They never did it before. They may never do it again, but you don't know. The state still doesn't have any money. But the foundation aid really should be locked in. The building aid number should be locked in. It's the transportation aid. If you don't spend it, you don't get it. So that's the number that's kind of iffy. And the same thing with the BOCES aid. If you don't spend it, you don't get it. So it comes down to where you're comfortable.
What would you recommend, like looking out a couple of years?
Well, that's the concern. The economy, they say it's picking up, but New York State's, this governor's, I'm not Phil, I know, but he's a wacko. You know, I'm sorry. You really can't trust him. I mean, I don't think he particularly cares for schools. They are supposed to pass the budget by April 1st. They are supposed to give us more money. Out of the $250 million, they're supposed to give $200 million back to the districts, but I haven't seen it. They were supposed to, well, the legislators in the Senate supposedly had runs, but I haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen anything about the 200 million.
But what we heard at the legislators' breakfast about that 200 million was not a good scenario for rural schools.
But I thought it was very odd that it wasn't even mentioned in their whole scenario that they did the other night. And not one word about the 250 million that had been set aside for the grants. And after the legislators that we spoke to were relatively sure that they were gonna get some movement on that, and they said nothing. So I don't.
Because our foundation aid number, that's been locked since 2008.
Okay.
And as you know, our expenses have not.
Now, the chunk of money that we got for gap elimination this year.
That's a new one.
Oh, that was a deep, but I thought we got,
The 200
That
million.
reduced, that it went down.
okay, so that's different every year.
Yes, because that's relatively new. I think last year was the first year for that. I mean, they keep coming up with these new gimmicks.
Pretty soon we won't be able to do the budget, we won't be able to figure out what they want.
Right.
So there's a couple of things that we really need you folks at the board to let us know what you want us to do. To give us, you know, an amount that you would like to see in numbers for maximum, you know, amount of our taxable levy, or what we want to look at. I know Carol, with redrafting this, you originally had a fund balance of $727,000. Well, in here, under the new budget you gave out, it's 751,368.
That's the difference between last year and this year.
Oh, that's not the fund balance?
No, I'm not.
But for the new budget, so did you change this since you did this?
No. But that's just the difference between the two budgets. Fund balance is here.
Right, no, I see that. But I thought when we redid this today, it still, is that the same amount? With all the, you know, add-ins and,
That's what made the total spending thing has changed,
okay,
but it didn't change the fund balance.
okay. That's what I said back then, okay.
But that is another option, to increase the fund balance.
Carol, again, if you could explain to me the 200,000 that we got from the government, that not all schools received, that it was some sort of formula that you talked about. Where did that fall under as far as when you put it into our budget?
That was the net effect of all of your aids.
Okay.
That was the additional aid between last year and this year.
Okay,
So that was the combination of all your aids.
so it goes into many different areas?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
that's a combination of all of it.
And is that something we can expect every year? That's another one of those, who knows? Because some schools in the area did not receive. So that could be 200,000 that'll just be gone next year, right?
And most of that really was the reduction in the gap elimination adjustment.
Okay.
So what would you folks like to see worked out for numbers?
Should we just go right around the table and everybody can put in their, Lynn, would you like to start?
I'm still trying to figure out this magic money they keep, it's here one day, it's gone next.
I do have one more question. While we were in the budget committee, Sue, you mentioned something to the effect of how we do our budget this year will affect the tax cap next year. That what we do
Well, the
here.
starting point
Okay.
is the prior year's tax levy.
Okay,
That's your starting point.
every year that'll be the starting point.
Well, unless they change the
Well,
formula.
yeah,
Because
yeah. But that's what we're supposedly to know right now to be in effect.
Correct.
Okay.
That's your starting point.
All right, so if we do absolutely nothing, then our starting point will be the same next year,
If you did a 0%.
0%. Right.
So the district is much better off if we go to a 3% this year if something happens next year, we're in better shape if we went to 3%.
Well, if you get a
Increase
3%, you have to have a 60% majority.
And you ain't gonna get it.
So we had two,
Two
2.96.
2.96 would be the highest you could do to get just a 50% plus one person.
Okay.
So really, what you're looking at is if you raise it 2.9% this year, it would put you in a better position next year to not have to have job cuts. If you go with a 0 to this year, then we're pretty limited in how much we can raise next year if we got really a pinch.
It just gives you a different base to work off.
I know.
Right, you're
Different
starting at a
starting
higher
point.
number.
Right.
But you're limited on how much you can raise it.
Right.
So
Every year.
if you don't raise it this year, you're really gonna be behind the 8 ball next year. Or it could be, it
And-
could be.
Yeah, and 2% would amount to approximately how much now? 1%, you said was 17 something?
Yes.
Okay, you're
So
talking
2%
about.
is like 34,000.
Right, so what you're asking is to only increase it 34,000 across the whole board. So. But it would give us a little boost for next year's tax cap.
I still don't see how they figured we make a budget when they haven't told us what we're really gonna, that's like figuring up your checkbook and not know how much you got paid.
Well, I'll go ahead and start. I think 2% would be a wise decision. I think you're only asking to raise an extra $34,000 roughly amongst the whole district. And it's gonna give you a little better cushion next year when we may not be in as great a shape as we are this year. And may look at some bigger shortfalls. And I think 2% would be something that would be doable.
I agree.
Anybody else?
I would disagree.
Me too.
I think it's time the taxpayers got a little break.
Me too.
Been hammered every year for the last.
Our taxpayers?
Last year only, but 2 or 3
We had 3
years.
years in a row of 0%.
Yeah, we had,
0%.
yeah.
And we had proposed to do.
Right, but in the end, we didn't.
But for the 3 years, you didn't do it. I'm just stopping.
How come our school tax is raised? No, they
Yeah,
raised it
34,000.
0%. She said 0%. That's not
I
true.
say we take
They
that
raised
off
it
the fund
3%.
balance and,
That's right.
I think we're gonna get more yes votes on the budget if we get the taxpayers in here and saying, you know, we'll give you a break.
I have to agree with Rick. I think we're in to say that we can increase our revenue by $34,000, it just doesn't really amount to much. It really doesn't. And if there's a situation next year where we're budget crunched for some reason, it's probably going to be we're budget crunched more than $34,000. You know, realistically, you could raise a tax of 10% some years and probably not make a difference because it just doesn't affect our bottom line that dramatically. So with the option of being able to present a balanced budget without a significant tax increase, which I think is, we've had a good track record of not having big budget increases. I think that's a good thing. And if we had to take a little extra money out of the fund balance, well, that's where it's there.
That's
We're
right.
not in a bad position. So I would vote for, because 0% would be fine with me.
Where's our fund balance after we use this 727, 728?
It's helped to us.
Removed. Yeah, the unreserved.
It's actually.
That was 2.4 million unreserved.
Unreserved.
Unreserved, okay.
I think I'd rather go with the 2% and not lose a job if we have the extra money in here. And we can save a position, somebody's job down the road, I'd rather do that.
$34,000 would be somebody's position. It could be somebody's position. to make a difference whether somebody gets cut loose or not. And for only $34,000.
Not only that, you might have another program that you could get for the kids. I mean, that's what we're here for, give them things. And I granted don't wanna pay any more tax, but
And but I don't wanna shoot ourselves in the, skip it this year and shoot ourselves in the foot next year. So, and we're limited in how much we can raise it. If we skip this year, we're still gonna be 2% behind. I don't know, I really like this idea over here, but I don't wanna have to look at somebody next year or 2 years and say, well, if we had to raise this, we wouldn't have to cut one more position. You know? I would rather pay the money and not have to see somebody get cut loose. And I think down the road, eventually, we're all gonna be on that slippery slope headed down the hill. We're gonna be where we have to look at people and say, we're gonna have to cut X number of positions. I think other school districts in this area are in that position right now, and I sure would want to be on their board. But, I don't know, I guess, I think I'm gonna have to vote with Tom.
Can you calculate what that amount would be between, say, if we had a cap, the 2% this year? What's that gonna affect next year's
Yeah, that'd be a good question.
budget, you know? Next year's cap number.
If we stay at zero, you mean?
If we stay at zero.
If we stayed at zero as compared to the 2%, what kind of difference is that gonna make next year to that cap?
Well, you'd be starting at the same point that you're starting this year. Because my starting point this year was last year's tax levy. So instead of,
So next year, we would be behind the 8 ball as far as $34,000 position.
right,
Once we give up that, we're never gonna get back.
Joe?
I guess I am glad that we're having this discussion. This is, I think, a fairly good place for us to be right now, rather than looking at trying to make up some huge shortfall, which we
Oh.
had initially anticipated.
Yeah,
So I think this is a conversation I'd rather be having.
yeah.
That being said, it seems like we're kind of stratifying into a couple of different schools of thought, and I think both have merit. Taxpayer, me would like to say zero, definitely. Board member, looking at the easily district, might lean more toward two, so I guess I'm on the fence.
Still on fence.
Well, it's nothing to go back to determine tonight, I just
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
have this conversation because, you know, you don't have to determine it tonight for certain, but I really want, I think people need to start thinking about it. This is kind of where we are, this is, you know, unless there's other things that you want us to look at and change within
If we
tonight's.
could hold off a week, I'd like to look at these
Sure.
at home and stuff like
Another
that.
I just want us to be able to look ahead, not
I do
just,
too.
I mean, this, to me, I'm really pleased the way that everything came out this year. We're not having to cut any positions. We've got driver ed back, summer rec, unless we go to contingency or something like that, but, and pool, I'm really happy with everything, but I just wanna be able to look ahead a little bit, a couple of years, not just the now.
The state probably doesn't give you any information that you can start looking at.
For next year?
Yeah.
We don't have this year's for us.
We don't have this year yet, so just that,
Good.
I mean, it's
Predictably, it's a
year to
year
year,
to year, yeah.
we don't know.
When's the election year? For the governor?
Hasn't really been there a couple of years.
Yeah.
I'm sure that year will get better.
So we're gonna,
In any case, we're not a terrible position.
No,
right.
I'd like to say stay here.
Proviso opens out, that's,
Yeah. I think we've done a good job.
Again, we're still dealing with magic numbers, you gotta
Well,
know.
that's the other part.
That's right.
the other thing within this current budget, draft is the elementary principal's position at a new starting salary. I know that there was some conversation at our committee meeting regarding that, and I guess I'd like to have that same conversation with everybody. what people's feelings are as far as next year for elementary principal.
I think my position after listening to Ron and Michelle talk about all the new stuff coming down the road, I'm not so sure that, and I won't possibly see how two people can do the evaluations if you're telling us they're 45 minutes to an hour, and what, Ron, 2 hours, 3 hours on an evaluation for a teacher?
I would think that's probably gonna be the minimum amount of time.
They actually said 4 to 6 is
4
the
to
state
6 hours.
estimate.
4 to 6 hours. How long does it take you to do an evaluation now or last year or whatever?
Currently, with the observation, pre-observation, post, maybe 2 to 3 hours, and then the annual write-up, so you're probably talking close to 3.5 hours. But you know, what Sue said is the important part. It's a state estimate of 4 to 6 hours.
That means 8.
I think that'd be very conservative. I honestly don't see how it's going to be done less than 10 hours per staff member.
Per staff member. And a dean of students, as you told us, is not going to be able to do the evaluation.
Correct.
So that's going to leave 2 administrators to do 8 to 10 hours worth of stuff on each employee, or each teacher, I should say. I'm going to have to lean toward having the principal position. I just don't see how everything can get done. Am I missing something here? I just don't see how 2 people can do 3 people's work and have the workload increased.
And still do the academic of implementing the reading program and staying on top of that and.
Well, also, as Ron pointed out a couple meetings ago, that this next year's state aid is based on where you are in this whole program.
Right.
So if you
Right.
fall behind that, the
Yep.
taxpayers are gonna take it on that deal.
Right.
Because
Right.
state aid will be based on job performance.
Exactly.
It feels like the wrong time to go late in that area. It really does.
I just don't see the hours, and I don't see, that's just one task they have of many.
Well, even at the legislators breakfast last Saturday, one of the legislators said, it sounds like everybody's gonna be adding an administrator because of the evaluations, and we all went, yeah, right, we're gonna add somebody, probably nobody's gonna add anybody, but
No.
cut somebody is another thing, definitely.
I would say hamstring ourselves, continue to move forward.
I would too, because when the job doesn't get done, we're responsible, and I don't wanna.
I'm sure if you're going to dean of students or something like that, it would be worth the money saved to cut yourself that flexibility
Right,
to.
because the dean of students can't do any of that stuff.
The savings would be worth,
I think you risk a lot of money.
I'm much rather be accused of trying to have the staff here to do the job at hand versus cut ourselves short in having the staff here available to do it, and then we fall short in some area, and we get penalized or ridiculed.
And the difference between the dean of student salary and the principal position is far, it's gonna be less than what we're gonna lose as far as state aid
Lose
goes.
an aid, yeah.
Just too much risk.
That's the point.
You go around busy,
Not necessarily, but nobody over there, I guess, is that what you're
I think we should pursue our opportunity to share a principal with Herman Fell, in my opinion.
I think
go.
shared with other schools, if it fit into our needs, would be a great idea. Especially as Herman Kell or any school that's attached to the school district.
They only have one now, correct?
Correct, right, and they
So-
just cut their curriculum coordinator.
So I would be willing to bet that they would look at an opportunity to hire one to work here and there, back and forth. To help them, it's gonna help them as well as us.
Well, it's gotta help both parties.
How would that work? I mean, how could you set something like that up, if it's possible? I mean,
And
would you, like a half day in this school, half day in that school?
I
or-
think you really have to sit down with both schools and discuss what's gonna work the best. I mean, if you're looking at half, you're looking at 2.5 days for school. So are you better to do mornings and afternoons, or every other day, or, I mean, I think that would have to just be.
Is it possible to can you do anything through a computer? I mean, if it's, not dealing with a student, but with paperwork, is that?
I'm going to feel for any type of, if you had two schools that need that.
I don't know.
Yes, and
I'm
I
not
think-
saying there's not, I just, right.
But if you got,
There's always email.
yeah.
Well, there's a lot of.
There's typically email.
There's a lot of questions that we
I'm
need to
wondering
ask.
if it's even possible to work it that way.
When I find
Yes.
out.
I know.
I
I think we should ask a question.
So what you're basically saying is that you talked with Herman about them adding a half a principal.
Right.
To manage it. Because by law, you have to have a principal in the building at all times. Okay.
Maybe there's no interest, I don't know, but I think the opportunity's there, we should, make something to it.
Have they expressed anything about this meeting between?
Yes, they did ask to have a joint meeting. With just more of a committee, not full board. So if folks are interested in doing that, I do have a time and a date. But it would not be a full board meeting. So we couldn't have a quorum.
So if we're with another group from another school, there's still not a forum if you got one forum.
Correct. So is that something you want to pursue, to meet with Herman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have 4 representatives?
I'll go.
I'd be interested.
Chris,
Yes.
did you say Joe? I didn't know if you spoke or Joe.
I wouldn't mind being on it.
Okay. So we have Tom, Chris, Mandy, Terry.
We'll get our calendar back out.
26th,
25th?
26th, Monday at 6:30. Well, I wrote it there because they did call and ask me, but I can't approve to not do a full board meeting, or that's up to you folks. Can't set up a third meeting.
Where would it be?
Here,
Right here, this one?
or the library, try the library. A little closer. That's all I have.
Okey-doke.
When's our new, next budget meeting?
We don't have one at this point unless there's any reason for us to meet again.
All right.
I mean, if does anybody see anything or ideas of whether cuts, additions, maybe I can change that to this next meeting. Just a few other things.
April 1st is when we'll know our state aid.
It's a budget.
They do it.
For sure.
They do it.
For sure.
I mean, they haven't always, right.
So in years past, have we ever been in a situation where we got a lot less than we were promised to?
One year they came and took them back in the middle of the year unannounced.
Then we're back to the drawing board at that day.
They're saying it first. So we can hope
So these numbers that we're looking at are based on,
what we get for a state formula. So,
on April 1st.
no, they gave us projected.
Right. So if the budget passes, that's the numbers.
Yes.
While I'm thinking about it, our next budget meeting, is that April, was that the tentative one? Which meeting was listed as tentative on the list?
Are you talking about board meetings?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It would have been next, it would have been this, right? That last Monday in March, the 26th.
No, I thought it was in April.
Well, if it's in its own, it'll be in the second.
Right,
The budget has to be approved before,
right.
for my memory.
I was just going through our list that we get at the beginning of the year, and one of them said tentative if needed. So So I'm just assuming that we're gonna need it.
We can't pull it up because it's on the webpage. But,
All right, we'll do it before that.
So it would be the next board meeting then that we would approve the budget?
yes, you have to approve it at one of the two.
I won't be in town the first meeting in April, so I'll miss that.
April second.
Second. I'll be out of town for work.
Okay.
Okay, is there anything else before we went to executive session? Can I have a motion to go into executive session?
Other
Mandy,
See you.